What is up, Primes? Nathonis here, back with another video for you. Now, this is another school-based thing. This is a project for another class. It's gonna become normal. So if it comes to very odd topics that don't seem like my thing and seem more educational, that's why. With the way things are, that's probably gonna be normal now. So, what this is essentially, I have to define culture, or my interpretation, my viewpoint of it. So, without further ado, this is my interpretation of culture from my perspective. The defining characteristics of a group of people, i.e., food, entertainment, beliefs. Now, your definition of culture might differ, and that's perfectly normal. Nobody's definition is going to be the same. There might be a couple, but it's unlikely. So chances are, your definition might be, how people dress, or, what people tend to do. For me, I think in general it's just the defining characteristics of a group. The most important transmitters would probably be my parents. I've had many people who've kind of influenced me throughout my life and shown me different forms of culture and stuff like that. But I think my parents probably did it most because they kind of introduced me to Transformers, which is currently my favorite. Transformers, it's my favorite movie, it's my favorite TV show. That's all you need to know. There's also my peers and media. So I've had some people, I've known people, friends, colleagues from school who have taught me things. They've come to think of it, that's where I've learned a lot of my stuff, is from friends, because they tend to show me things I never really knew, and if I get something wrong, they always correct me. It gets annoying, but yeah, it happens. And media, well, I'll get to that in a bit. My memories of learning to read and write, they're all over the place. As far as I can remember, all I really know is that I tried to read books to my family. That's what I did. I just read books. And they were like, hey, you can read. So, as for learning to write, that just kind of came with reading. Whenever I learned to read, I knew, okay, well, I can write that. I remember R. The lowercase r, I always thought was a traffic light. I'd say friendships, if anything. I've grown up, kind of isolated. I've always been somewhat extroverted, but lately I've realized that I've also had this introverted side. And I always thought that I presented myself as kind of a friendly, outgoing person, but I've more or less seemed obnoxious and annoying. And that's fine, right? Everybody has their own quirks. That just happens to be mine. But when it comes down to it, friendships are the most important thing to me. Family, friends, the people closest to you. That is the closest value. That is perhaps the most important value I could name. I think that the most important things that we follow in our daily lives as people of our community, is mostly law. And it may sound boring, but think about it. This is... without law, where would we be? We would probably be out in the streets doing whatever we want, causing trouble and chaos. Without end. And though we're not that far from that actually happening, it just it's so controlled right now. So you may think that the world is going haywire and all that stuff. Wait until they abolish the law. That is going to be chaos. Between me and my family, we don't really have a lot of, rituals. Though, when it's a holiday, we always gather for dinner. No matter what holiday it is. Christmas, Easter, Halloween, Thanksgiving, we always gather and we always have dinner. It's pretty much the best we can get for coming together as a family. Sure, we could do that more often, coming together and just having dinner. And we do that from time to time, but it's a weekly and very holiday-driven ritual, for lack of a better term. I'd say school. School's everywhere. School is pretty much my life. As much as I may not want it to be, it is. And it will be for the next year and a little over a half, so yeah. It's definitely the most prominent. It's where I spend at least half my day, so it's also where I go to learn. That's school. Probably my phone. That may sound like a typical teenager thing, like, all teenagers think their phones are important, but think about it. Without our phones, where would we be? We'd be bored out of our minds, we'd be probably even more depressed, we wouldn't be able to talk to people, not as easily as we can nowadays. And to some degree, without our phones, that would be a good thing, because we wouldn't be seeking that higher status. But at the same time, sometimes that higher status could be a good thing. It could give you a whole wide range of opportunities in the future. You never know. So, that's kind of what I'm striving for, is to hopefully boost myself on the algorithm, as it were. And without my phone, I wouldn't be able to do that. Though most of the time I use it for contacting friends and whatnot. So, I guess I don't really need to worry about that. Well, there's my music, and there's my favorite TV shows and series. So, music, mostly my playlist, which mostly consists of Linkin Park. That's my most favorite band ever. They really showed me a new side to life that I never would have known. And they speak for me, I suppose. A lot of things I feel, their music represents. So, that's why I consider them art, no matter what they do. My favorite movie and TV show, Transformers. I've said it before, it's art. Even if it's not the best, I think it's art. From the multiple iterations of the franchise, my favorite version would have to be Transformers Prime. An old TV series that ran from 2010 to 2013, had a pretty good run, ended a little soon in my opinion, but after seeing the plans for season 4, I'm kinda glad they cut it. But yeah, that was perhaps the most important show in my life. That I grew up with that show. I used to watch it as a kid. I recently rewatched it now, and it was a blast of nostalgia. Awesome show. To pick a character that I would see as a role model from that show, it would be Optimus. He's that heroic, wise caring leader. He's like a father figure in some ways. And having a bit of difficulty with that in my life, you know, I'm glad that I could look to a fictional character for that. I know that doesn't make a lot of sense, but, you know, nothing I say makes sense, so. Yeah, it's it's mostly a case of I borrow a lot of his personality traits when I can. So his sort of care for humans, his loyalty, his devotion, um, even just his responsibility in general, you know? Like, I learned a lot from a fictional character, so a lot of people might say that's not possible. It really is. And just so happens that Optimus Prime is the character that has taught me the most. Our eating, drinking, and sleeping habits are probably the same as everybody else, so nothing too unique there. Um, you know, I go to bed at 9, 10, wake up at 7. I eat whatever's put in front of me. I drink whenever I'm thirsty. You know, that's pretty much it. Me and nature are like old friends that tend to pick on each other a lot. Um, Although I'm kind of the one that's sort of done with it, if that makes any sense. It's like nature will cut me, uh, scratch me, trip me whenever it gets the chance. And so my relationship with nature is not a good one. It's very toxic. I should probably leave it. But yeah, that was sort of my, um, I guess, view of culture. Not exactly too in-depth, I think, but I'm not that much of a cultural person. I'm more of a take it as it is kind of person. So if I like something, I like it. I don't really think of any, you know, cultural instances. I don't think that way very much. So I hope this suffices. If not, meh. I hope you guys enjoyed, and see you all in the next video.